guys, happy Friday. Welcome back to my channel. Go ahead and like this video for me and subscribe. Thank you for the support. Okay, so the women who accused Jay-Z and Diddy of all-wording her at 13 spoke with NBC News about what she described as a life-changing incident. She recounted being taken in a limo to a White House, drinking something that made her feel dizzy, and being assaulted by Jay-Z and Diddy. However, she and her lawyers admitted there was some inconsistency in her story when she questioned by NBC News. "I have made some mistakes and recollections of that night," the women, identified as Jen Doe, told NBC News. The women said she stands by her allegations overall. So here are some of the inconsistencies. The women said her father picked her up after the alleged sexual assault, but he says he doesn't recall that. The women also claims she spoke to a celebrity at the after party where she said she was sexually assaulted, but that celebrity said he was not in New York at that time. The woman, who is now 38 years old, said she was living in Rochester, New York in 2000, and that attending the VMAs was on my bucket list at 13. It was like, oh my gosh, one of those things I've got to do. She said she snuck out a window to evade her parents. She didn't have a ticket. She watched some of the show on a jumbotron outside. She also started chatting up limo drivers. "I'm trying to get in to try to stay back and get to an after party and get invited and meet some celebrities." One limo driver said he worked for Diddy and that she fit what Diddy was looking for. And he told her to return later and he'd take her to an after party. After about 20 minutes in the limo, she arrived at a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway. She said in the lawsuit she signed a document that she didn't read. Inside the mansion, she told NBC News, "I'm talking to Fred Durst, Benji Madden, about his tattoo because, about his tattoo, that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about," she claims. But a representative for Madden, Benji Madden, confirmed that neither Benji nor his brother Joel attended the 2000 VMAs and that they were on a tour in the Midwest at that time. "After accepting a drink from a waitress, I started feeling funny, tried to start looking for a place to lay down. She found an empty room with a bed in it," she said in the lawsuit, and soon after, Diddy, Jay-Z, and a woman entered the room. "You are ready to party?" Diddy said. She said both Diddy and Jay-Z all worded her. Jay-Z comes over, holds me down. I start trying to push away. He puts his hand over my mouth, tells me to stop it, to cut the ish, and then he all-word me like he had me overpowered, she said. Afterward, she said in the lawsuit, she managed to flee the house and ran to a gas station. "I was upset, and the person at the gas station could tell that I was obviously upset, and she let me use the phone. I called my dad because he was the only person I could trust at that time. I told him I messed up and I needed a ride home," she told NBC News. "We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was." She said she never told anyone about the alleged assault or wrote it down in a diary. "Even if somebody found out, who was gonna believe me? I mean, it was to the word of two celebrities against mine," she said. "The years after were hard," she said. "I got severely depressed. I withdrew completely. My grades started slipping, and she dropped out of school. She experienced homelessness," she said, "and at one point, she suffered a head injury." She and her father also said she was all-worded later in life. Her father, who said he learned of the alleged assault this week, told NBC News that he does not recall picking her up after the alleged assault. According to their address at the time, her father would have driven more than 5 hours from their home to pick her up. The father said, "I feel like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind." He added that he did remember once picking her up in the middle of the night, but he said it was a local drive. The women said in a follow-up interview, "So I have made some mistakes. I have made a mistake in identifying." The friend she said drove her, who would have been 20 at the time, that person appears to have since died. Jay-Z told NBC News in a statement, "This incident did not happen, and yet Tony Buzbee filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon." Tony Buzbee told NBC in an email, "Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another who vetted it prior to sending it to us. Our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists, because we have interrogated her intensely. She has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. I've never had a client suggest that before. In any event, we always do our best to vet each claim made, just as we did it in this case. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress." Then, Jay-Z's lawyer, Spiro, said, "It is stunning that a lawyer would not only file such a serious complaint without proper vetting, but would make things worse by further peddling this false story in the press. We are asking the court to dismiss this frivolous case today, and will take up the matter of additional discipline for Mr. Buzbee and all the lawyers that filed the complaint." So then, Spiro filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit against Jay-Z after the accuser admitted inconsistencies in her story. Spiro said the events never happened. "This is not for truth and justice. This is for money." He added, "These are not minor inconsistencies. If you look at the time, it's not possible this could happen. I want to make sure this is clear. When people make up an account, whether intentionally or their mind is blank or something, they can always get that core part of the story right. They can just keep repeating it over and over and over again. This is what happened, that core part, but they're always going to mess up the details when something isn't real. When something doesn't happen, you're going to get the details wrong because you weren't really there," he said. "This was not possible. It's because this never happened." Spiro played a 6-minute clip of the NBC News report for reporters and said Buzbee created this narrative and that he expects this case to be dismissed. If not, it will crumble. Spiro said, "The Jane Doe said she's at the party alone, this 13-year-old girl, and she finds herself in the room with the 3 most famous people at the party. Just think about how unnatural, how little common sense that makes." And according to her, one of the witnesses is a female celebrity who's just standing there watching the repetitive R-word of a child. "There's an adult female in the room watching the R-word of a child," he said. Afterwards, she says, She runs out of the house naked. None of them noticed that. None of them pay any notice. For 24 years, none of them has said anything. Alex Spiro said the house where Jane Doe claimed the incident happened does not exist. There is no such location. We don't know whether they created a location in order to try to get jurisdiction in New York so they could bring this case in New York, or that they just didn't do their homework, he explained. Okay, so it gets worse. It gets worse. So then, Tony Buzbee filed a lawsuit against Jay-Z's entertainment company, Roc Nation, lawyer Marcy Croft, and Alex Spiro's law firm, Quinn Emanuel and Sullivan. Buzbee sued Roc Nation and its attorneys for violations of various state laws, including filing frivolous lawsuits and impersonation of a public official. Buzbee filed a lawsuit on behalf of a former client of his law firm. The lawsuit alleges that agents for Roc Nation and its lawyers posed as employees of the state of Texas, flashed fake badges, and offered the clients up to $10,000 to sue the Buzbee law firm. Buzbee has previously accused Roc Nation and its attorneys of threatening his family to intimidate him and force him to drop the lawsuit against Jay-Z. Roc Nation scoffed at Buzbee's latest lawsuit on Wednesday. Tony Buzbee's baloney lawsuit against Roc Nation is nothing but another sham. It's a pathetic attempt to distract and deflect attention. This sideshow won't change the ultimate outcome, and true justice will be served soon, a Roc Nation spokesperson said in a statement. Buzbee claims Roc Nation associates approached his clients and illegally offered to pay them to sue his firm. He claims it's happened more than 24 times. Wow. The lawsuit filed today alleges that the defendant's conspiracy is intended to obstruct justice and prevent the Buzbee law firm from pursuing cases related to the Diddy litigation in New York. The conduct isn't just alleged, it was caught on tape, Buzbee wrote. During a press conference at Roc Nation's NYC headquarters on Monday, Alex Spiro said the allegations against Jay-Z are false. Alex Spiro was confident that the case against Jay-Z would be dismissed this week. So now check this out. Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, is now saying that Jay-Z and Diddy were not close friends. Okay? Alex Spiro insisted Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs only knew each other professionally and that they weren't close friends. They knew each other professionally for a number of years, just like in all professions. People know each other. At music awards, they support each other. They go to the NBA All-Star game. They support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them. That's also a matter of fiction. That's all that there is. He does not know anything about the charges or allegations against Diddy. He has nothing to do with the case, and there's nothing more to say. Oh, really? Is that right, Alex Spiro? Because that's a lie. That is a lie, and you know it. And both lawyers are suing each other back and forth. Like, what's really going on? Like, these are men. These are lawyers. Professional men. Doing this publicly. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Tony Buzbee is being sued. Okay? Yesterday, a new lawsuit accused Tony Buzbee of infecting a woman with a venereal disease. I'm sorry. It's just like, what? What does this have to do with. Okay. The new lawsuit was filed in New York Supreme Court. The accuser is identified as Jane Doe in the lawsuit. So many Jane Does is just like, oh my God. Is this number what? Number 200? Can we get a number? Like, which Jane Doe is this? The woman said she met Buzbee online. He charmed her and convinced her to go out on a date. She says she traveled to Buzbee's hometown of Houston to have dinner with him before taking it in a show. Taking it in a show. Taking in a show. Sorry. After the performance, the woman says Buzbee booked a room at a 5-star hotel where he seduced her. The two were allegedly intimate without Buzbee revealing he had an STD. The lawsuit does not name the STD. H to the E, R to the P. Okay, so the woman says, after she left the hotel the next day, she started to feel uncomfortable sensation around her, you know what, which prompted her to make an appointment with a doctor. A test revealed she was infected with a sexually transmitted disease. She assumed that she contracted the STD during her alleged intimate encounter with Buzbee. Jane Doe says she contacted Buzbee about her positive test, and he apologized to her, but he was not surprised because she claims he already knew he had an STD. Oh my goodness. Jane Doe said Buzbee asked her not to disclose her diagnosis to anyone, and he vowed to provide free legal advice as compensation. Really? Really? Like, for real? You're gonna... I'm sorry, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, what? So this compensation for giving... Come on, you know what? Okay. I'm sorry, this is crazy. Okay, so he asked her not to disclose her diagnosis to anyone, who vowed to provide free legal advice as compensation. The woman claimed she was filled with shame and grief, but continued to hook up with Buzbee. Can you imagine a man giving you the H and the HER, you know, the rest, and then you still hooking up with him? Yeah, okay, so Jane Doe says Buzbee invited her on trips to Panama and NYC, where he owned a home. Buzbee says her lawsuit is a criminal conspiracy to discredit and intimidate him from pursuing claims in the Diddy litigation. He calls the lawsuit false, frivolous, laughable, and ridiculous, and will be dismissed along the other lawsuits. He says he has reported the lawyer who filed the latest lawsuit to the relevant legal authorities and will be taking legal action against him and his client. Okay, this has to stop. This is not even entertaining. It's not. Jay-Z, even if this Jane Doe, this 13-year-old at the time, even if she's not credible, I'm sure there are plenty of other real Jane Does that will come out. Okay? Because right now, you are so focused on trying to throw this case out. So when the real victims come out, people are going to assume that they are lying as well. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I'm not saying that this Jane Doe, the 13-year-old at the time, I'm not saying that she's not a real victim, but due to her inconsistencies, you know, like her dad coming out saying he don't remember picking her up, right? Then again, I read that her dad, you know, was a substance abuser. You know, he had mental illness, like, you know, issues, a lot of issues going on. So maybe that is the reason why he don't remember. And you know what else? I don't sit well with me. the fact that the dad came out and said he's just not finding out about this R wording. So the women didn't even tell her dad about the lawsuit. The woman didn't even tell her dad before the interview that she had a lawsuit, or that, she was awarded by Jay-Z and Diddy. And yeah, I don't know about that. Like, how are you not telling your dad? Like, I guess because she's Jane Doe, she just felt like, okay, her info, her government name is not out there, so she don't have to tell anyone. Because I'm sure if she had to come out, with her real information, she would give people heads up. Yeah, that gotta be it. And then the dad didn't have to really put her out there like that. I don't know, maybe the dad was paid off. What do you think? Because they do those type of things. People pay people off all the time. Okay? It's very common. So who knows? But we're just gonna see and watch what happens. So I just want more victims to come out, because I know there are plenty of more victims. All right, I just want them to come out. I just want them to get their justice and get these monsters behind bars. I really do. Because these people are monsters and criminals. Okay? What are your thoughts, you guys? Leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and thank you for the support. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.